A long time ago, around the years 1306 to 1307, something very bad happened to a group of knights called the Knights Templar. They were betrayed by their own king, King Philip IV of France, and the Pope, Pope Clement V. Both of them were from the same country and were related to each other. The king and the Pope accused the Knights Templar of being heretics, which means they were seen as people who didn't follow the right religious beliefs. Because of these accusations, the Knights Templar were treated very badly. They were tortured in horrible ways, like being branded, having their eyes gouged out, and being stretched on a rack. It was a really terrible time for them. But what did they do to deserve this treatment, you may wonder? But before we talk about that, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Well, the accusations against them were very strange. They were accused of doing satanic rituals with blood, having a scary skull with two faces, and even doing scandalous things like kissing each other's feet, belly buttons, and necks. Looking back, it becomes clear that the accusations against the Knights Templar were false. The truth is that the king and the Pope sought to seize the Templars' wealth. The French king owed them money that he couldn't repay, while the Pope was jealous of their power and riches. The Templars emerged during the Crusades as the Poor Knights of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon. They amassed wealth through their involvement in the Holy Land campaigns to reclaim Christian sites from Muslim rulers. The Christians called the Muslim rulers the infidels, while the Muslims had derogatory terms for the Crusaders. The Catholic Church and European monarchs hoped that the Crusaders, who fought under the symbol of the cross, would permanently expel Muslims from the Holy Land, which includes present-day Israel, Palestine, Jordan, and parts of Syria. Although the initial crusade succeeded in driving out the Muslim rulers from significant Christian sites, their absence was not permanent. A prolonged and difficult battle ensued, and the men from Western Europe, who were not professional soldiers and wanted to return home, became easy targets for thieves and marauding Muslim soldiers if they tried to go back alone or in small groups. This challenging situation was exacerbated by the fact that many crusaders were captured and sold into slavery, making it even harder for them to find their way back home. In France, a nobleman named Hugh de Payens took action during a troubled time. In 1118 or 1119, a group embarked on a mission to protect crusaders and their families from thieves in the Holy Land. These knights, like others at the time, were mainly from noble backgrounds and provided care to the sick and wounded, similar to the Knights Hospitallers. Many of them had combat experience or martial training, as was typical for noblemen of that period. When they reached Jerusalem, King Baldwin II of France generously granted them a section of the royal palace as their headquarters. This location was believed to be the historic site of the famous Temple of Solomon, leading to the knights being called Templars. The Templars held a privileged position granted by the Catholic Church. In addition to protecting pilgrims, they established fortified structures called prefectories in Europe and the Middle East. They enjoyed exemptions from taxes to the church, kings, and nobility, and received land donations that allowed them to collect taxes and tithes. The Templars gained respect for their aid to pilgrims, care for the wounded, and successes against Muslims. Their unwavering commitment as Christian warriors, preference for death over capture, and exceptional martial skills earned them renown and territorial expansions. During the 13th and 14th centuries, the Templars expanded their wealth through land acquisition, taxes, tithes, and donations. They unintentionally adopted a rudimentary banking role as they established prefectories across Catholic Christendom. These prefectories provided a practical solution for individuals in need, such as pilgrims returning home with valuable assets. Depositing their wealth with the Templars ensured protection and the issuance of a parchment, indicating a specific coin value, which could then be presented at prefectories in their home region, a precursor to early checks. During the medieval period, the Templars ventured into money lending and developed innovative interest collection methods, defying the disapproval of the Catholic Church. This expansion into financial activities is considered significant by historians, leading some to view the Templars as an early form of a multinational corporation. However, popular medieval narratives predominantly focused on the knights within the Templar order, emphasizing their association with armor, chivalry, romantic tales, and acts of bravery. These aspects primarily appealed to the upper classes. The scarcity of documentation on the lives of common people in this era can be attributed to the limited interest of chronicles and the prevailing illiteracy among the medieval population, mostly confined to the nobility and clergy. It is important to acknowledge that not all members of the Templar order were warriors, despite the common association with knights. The order, officially known as the Poor Knights of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon, encompassed individuals who contributed to the cause in various capacities. Although their roles varied, all members were considered knights for Christ. bound together by their shared mission of protecting and propagating Christianity. Within the Templar order, the actual warriors formed a minority. To attain the status of a mounted knight, one required a noble title like duke, prince, or count, as only individuals of noble lineage could achieve this rank. Additionally, becoming and maintaining the position of a mounted knight necessitated substantial resources, including 3 or 4 horses. The expenses associated with horses and the support of squires, typically young nobles who cared for them, were considerable. Although we often associate the Templars with the image of a mounted knight wearing white mantles adorned with a red cross, it was the foot soldiers of the order who wore black mantles with the red cross. The armed forces of the Templars extended beyond armored and mounted knights. While the knights on horseback served as the Templars' shock troops and those of other orders, foot soldiers played a vital role in sustaining battles and defending territories. At their zenith, the Templars commanded tens of thousands of dedicated warriors throughout Europe and the Holy Land. Other members bearing the title of knights performed various ordinary tasks within the order, including maintaining the prefectories, ensuring cleanliness, and handling the cultivation, acquisition, and preparation of food, clothing, and daily necessities. With the prosperity of the Templar banks, many brothers took on roles as accountants and early bankers, traveling across Europe to lend money. It was in the realm of finance that the eventual troubles for the Templars would arise. The Battle of Montgesard in 1177 stands as the most celebrated victory of the Templars. With approximately 500 mounted knights and a few thousand infantry, they triumphed over the formidable Muslim leader Saladin and his force of over 25,000 soldiers in the Holy Land. Unfortunately, a decade later, the Templars and others experienced a defeat at the Battle of Hattin, leading to the recapture of Jerusalem by the Muslims. This loss dealt a significant blow not only to the Templars, but also to all of Christendom. Approximately 50 years later, the Templars did not actively participate in the brief recapture of Jerusalem. They continually retreated across the Middle East and the Mediterranean, while their primary goal of securing the Holy Land for Christ remained unaccomplished. Accumulating immense wealth, they enjoyed exemption from all local laws by papal decree, granting them independence from legal jurisdiction. The secretive rituals within Templar prefectories sparked speculation and rumors, resembling those of the Catholic Church and military orders. The Grand Master, holding a lifetime position of power, wealth, and respect, often met untimely demise. Their covert order, with no allegiance to any kingdom, became adversaries of influential individuals. In 1306, King Philip IV of France and Pope Clement V targeted the Templars due to their wealth and landholdings. Under the guise of negotiations, they deceived Templar Grand Master Jacques de Molay and initiated a scheme. Philip convinced Clement to investigate rumors of unholy rites, including the worship of Baphomet and allegations of homosexuality. Templars themselves contributed to these accusations. The arrests of de Molay and others took place on Friday the 13th, 1307. The belief that Friday the 13th is an unlucky day is commonly associated with the Templars' arrest on that date, but the superstition itself did not emerge until the 1800s. However, the Templars did face significant misfortune on that day. Following their arrest, they endured prolonged torture during their trial and were forced to make false confessions to alleviate their suffering. Wild charges were fabricated against Jacques de Molay and the entire order. On March 18, 1314, de Molay and many others were burned alive at the stake as heretics. Templar prefectories across Western Europe were raided, resulting in the death or imprisonment of Templars. Some Templars were allowed to join other orders. In Portugal, former Templars under the protection of the Portuguese kings established the Order of Christ and the Supreme Order of Christ, considered by some as successors to the Knights Templar. Interestingly, Jacques de Molay reportedly uttered a curse before his death, predicting the deaths of the king and the pope within a year and the eventual extinction of the king's line. Astonishingly, Philip IV and Clement V did die within 12 months, and Philip's line eventually died out as well. In 2006, Pope Benedict XVI formally apologized to the Knights Templar on behalf of the Catholic Church for the imprisonment, torture, and deaths that occurred during their persecution 7 centuries earlier. Pope Benedict acknowledged the falseness of the accusations against the Templars, which had been suspected for centuries. With that said, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more, and if you found this content helpful, give the video a like. See you in the next video. Till then,